Board of County Commissioners acts as a quasi-judicial body when it hears requests for rezoning and conditional use permits. Applicants must provide competent, substantial evidence establishing facts or expert witness opinion testimony showing that the request meets the zoning code and comprehensive plan criteria. Opponents must also testify as to facts or provide expert testimony whether they like or dislike a request is not competent evidence. The board must then decide whether the evidence demonstrates consistency and compatibility with the comprehensive plan and the existing rules in the zoning ordinance, property adjacent to the property to be rezoned, and the actual development of the surrounding area. The board cannot consider speculation, non-expert opinion testimony, or poll the audience by asking those in favor or opposed to stand up or raise their hands. If a commissioner has had communications regarding a rezoning or conditional use permit request before the board, the commissioner must disclose the subject of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place before the board takes action on the request. Likewise, if a commissioner has made a site visit, inspection, or investigation, the commissioner must disclose that fact before the board takes action on the request. Each applicant is allowed a total of 15 minutes to present their request, unless time is extended by majority vote of the board. The applicant may reserve any portion of the 15 minutes for rebuttal. Other speakers are allowed 5 minutes to speak. Speakers may not pass their time to someone else in order to give that person more time to speak.
Good evening. Do I have Mr. Frank Grant here?
Good evening. On behalf of the Baha'is of Brevard County, we'd like to say a prayer for unity for the invocation. Glory be to thee, O God, for thy manifestation of love to mankind. O thou who art our life and light, guide the servants in thy way and make us rich in thee and free from all save thee. O God, teach us thy oneness and give us the realization of thy unity, that we may see no one save thee. Thou art the merciful and the giver of bounty. O God, create in the hearts of thy beloved the fire of thy love, that it may consume the thought of everything save thee. Reveal to us, O God, thine exalted eternity, that thou hast ever been and will ever be, and that there is no God save thee. Verily in thee we will find comfort and strength. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you would all, we have quorum. Call the meeting to order. If you would join us in the pledge. We have no minutes for approval. We're going to move right into resolutions and presentations. Item E1.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to introduce Martha Pissarro. If you'd come forward, please, Martha. Martha's a member of the Native Heritage Gathering. Now, you'll have a chance to talk, and I'm going to turn it over to our official resolution reader, Commissioner Feltner.
Got a promotion. I'm going to read your resolution, and then we'll hand it back to Commissioner. Whereas American Indians and Alaska Natives were the original inhabitants of the land that now constitutes the United States, and whereas American Indians and Alaska Natives have traditionally exhibited a respect for natural resources through a reverence for the earth, and whereas American Indians and Alaska Natives have served with valor in all of America's wars, beginning with the Revolutionary War through the conflict in the Persian Gulf, and whereas American Indians and Alaska Natives have made distinct and important contributions to the United States and the rest of the world in many fields, including agriculture, medicine, music, language, and art, and whereas American Indians and Alaska Natives deserve to be recognized for their individual contributions to the United States as local and national leaders, artists, athletes, and scholars, and whereas this recognition will encourage self-esteem, pride, and self-awareness in American Indians and Alaska Natives of all ages, and whereas November is a time when many Americans commemorate a special time in the history of the United States when American Indians and English settlers celebrated the bounty of their harvest and the promise of new kinships. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida does hereby recognize the month of November 2023 as National Native American Heritage Month, done, ordered, and adopted in regular session this second day of November 2023.
Is that a motion, sir?
A motion, please.
Motion by Commissioner Goodson.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Feltner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes
Thank-
4-0.
Thank you, Commissioner Feltner. Now, Madam, please.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a true honor to again be recognized in the month of November for our Native American heritage and all of the history that goes into this land and the peoples of it. We'll be celebrating at the Wickham Park Amphitheater the weekend of 10th, 11th, and 12th, with special emphasis on the Veterans Day events, as well as a special program on missing and murdered Indigenous women. And one of our Masters of Ceremonies has the soundtrack music for the current Ken Burns documentary, The American Buffalo. So we'll be having some special presentations on buffalo, and Paynes Prairie folks will be here to talk about that. But today I'd like to introduce you to Claire Ellis, who is in charge of many different things. Her hats include sponsorships and fundraising and all of the fun things that we get to do. A few words, please.
I'll only take a minute. This is a beautiful, family-friendly event, educational, with a beautiful native village that's going to be doing demonstrations during the day, incredible free workshops that you can register for, the performers who are the top performers in the country. So free, family-friendly, bring a couple lawn chairs or a blanket and join us. 10th, 11th, and 12th at Wickham Park. And I will add one more thing. Native Americans have the highest rate by ethnicity of enlisting in the armed forces.
And now we'd like to give a small preview of the type of music. If we could entertain a little music from Bart Lipowski, who is in our Indian River Flute Circle. Thank you, Bart. Take the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I would like to invite the board down front to take a picture and all that, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into item G1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get started, for the record, I wanted to introduce myself. I am Jeffrey Ball. I am the Planning and Zoning Manager. I am also an AICP planner as well. So with that, item G1 is Joseph S. Minnick requests a change of zoning classification from GU to RR-1. Application number is 23Z00064, tax account numbers 2001554, located in District 1.
Commissioners, this is in my district. This is pretty easy, and we've been doing it for a while.
I'll make a motion.
Motion
To
by
approve.
Commissioner Feltner, second by Commissioner Tobias. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes 4-0. Item G2.
FL and NC Investment Properties LLC requests a change of zoning classification from RR-1 to AU. Application numbers 23Z00066, tax account numbers 2106726, also located in District 1.
Thank you. I don't have a card here from the applicants. Is Mr. Don or Janice Opatha here by any chance? Or you come on up. I got a question to ask you. You're the applicant, sir?
That's correct.
When you're done, if you'd fill out a card for me, that would be great for
All
the
right,
clerk.
I will.
I think what you're doing is kind of cool. I do struggle with putting an AU in the residential for this.
Yep.
But I'll be good with it, and I asked staff to kind of give you some questions, if you'd be willing to work with them on a BDP, just so we protect the neighbors from noise and make sure the right setbacks are there. So if you're good with that, I'm going to have them work with you on how to make your project work, but still protect the neighbors.
Yes, ma'am, but within 500 feet, there are multiple agricultural properties already existing.
I looked through it. I wouldn't approve it right now without
Yeah,
us
yeah.
putting some way to protect the neighbors, but I think we'll be able to do your project
Yes.
if you're willing to just go work with staff for a little while, because
Correct.
the type of thing you're doing has to be an enclosed structure, and then there's sound and all those things. But I think we can make it work for you.
That's correct.
But I would just like, if, I want to get this out in the
Are
public.
you referring to the BDP at the moment?
Binding development plan,
That's
if
correct,
you're
yeah.
willing to do it, work with them, and we'll get that set up for you.
Correct. But if I agree to that, I will lose the statute rights. Statute actually allows me to keep birds there. I had the permits for more than 2 years.
Right, on an
Uh,
RR1 you could, but you have to keep it in the area you have it
No,
now.
ma'am, it does not matter the zoning. It is Right to Farm Act.
Not in
Florida
not
statute.
in an RR1 right now. correct?
It doesn't matter the zoning type or the size of the lot. None of that matters on the statute.
I'm not sure you're correct on that, Mr. Tad?
I believe the county attorney office has something
I'm
to say on
sorry,
this.
sir?
Sure, I can field that. First of all, the Right to Farm Act isn't applicable here because you don't have the agricultural classification from the property appraiser and tax collector. That's required before Right to Farm Act would kick in. Also, the county has certain limitations on the raising of exotic birds that predate Right to Farm Act, so the Right to Farm Act did not preempt those regulations, so you're going to have to be in compliance with those. And that's some of the things that the commissioner was talking about that you'd work out with staff as far as the necessary setbacks and the enclosure you have to keep the birds in. But no, as of right now on that property, you cannot, as a matter of right, do something that's contrary to the zoning pursuant to Right to Farm Act because you don't have that yet.
I do have the FWC permits for the last 2 years.
You don't have the agricultural classification from property appraiser or tax collector, but you can talk to staff about that offline later.
Okay.
Would you like to go work with them, or would you like me to
I
deny
do like
it?
to, but from what I know, agriculture exception is not what going to give me the statute, right?
I won't
yeah.
approve an AU unless we make sure the neighbors are protected. From my district, and I don't know what the other
Okay.
commissioners would do, but I kind of know the area, and
That's right.
you go with that?
I went through the same process in North Carolina. So Right to Farm Act does not give the exemption, is not what they count. They count the actual permits, the right to breed, sell exotic animals.
Not in an RR1, sir. I would have to go ahead and let you have the AU because you don't have that exemption at all right now. Correct, County Attorney?
That's correct. Yeah, in Florida, the Right to Farm Act is tied to having the agricultural classification, and you haven't received that yet.
Okay.
And I'm
all
not
right.
talking about the zoning, I'm talking about the classification that you've applied for through property appraiser.
I have received it, actually. I went from my personal name to LLC. They have sent me a card saying they had canceled the permit. I have the card with me, actually. I can show it to you right now.
It's not a permit. We can talk about that offline, but you
All right.
understand with.
Okay.
So would you like me to
Yeah,
table this and work
okay.
with the county staff?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Okay. Can I have a motion, if y'all are? Motion? Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Commissioner Tobias, sir.
Thank you. And I actually went back and read the minutes here. I'm a little bit confused because you indicated at the previous meeting that you had an agricultural exemption. Do you believe you have an
Yes,
agricultural?
sir, I have it, and they had canceled it because I went from my personal name, the property, I put it on LLC. So they sent me like a little yellow color card saying they canceled the.
Okay, so you don't
exemption.
have, so I was confused because you mentioned
I
that
do
you
have
had
it,
one.
But right now, I do not have it because they canceled it. Actually, I got the postcard.
I
Like
got it. I'm
days,
with
yeah.
you, you
Yeah.
know. So you don't have one now, so I was.
That's right.
And can you, also in there, can you speak to primates? Because I think that was.
Primates are
that
not
was-
in in Florida. They're in North Carolina. I have to meet certain amount of hours to bring them to Florida, under Florida law. So I cannot bring primates to Florida till I have 1,000 hours completed from Brevard County Zoo or any facility like that.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that was mentioned in there, and that opens
That's
another.
right.
can-
I don't
that
have any primates
Opens
there.
another
Correct.
can of worms, so that's not
Yeah.
going to be dealt with. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, sir. So I have a motion to table for them to come back with kind of boundaries and parameters that will protect the neighbors from noise and setbacks.
Yes, ma'am, just a question on the motion.
tell you want to ask
That's
me
to the
something.
next meeting, which would be December 7th, I believe.
Yes,
Is that-
sir.
Is that what you all are
December
intentions?
7th, we'll come see if we can't get something worked out and approve it.
All right.
Okay?
So this is my last public hearing, correct?
No, you'll come back with the BDP, and then we'll make a vote to approve it if it's
Okay.
approved, if you're willing, if we get to a place.
Okay, all right.
Okay? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to table?
Motion to continue
Okay.
D2 until December 7th meeting.
Okay, a motion to continue December 7th. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Feltner. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes 4-0. Commissioners, if you're okay, I would like to do item 4 first because it's a little quicker. All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item G4 is Nancy A. Santarillo, Francis Santarillo, and Jennifer L. Straight, and James J. and Jennifer L. Straight. Request to change the zoning classification from RU 1-9 to RU 1-11. Application number is 23Z00074. Tax account numbers 2863326, 2801026, located in District 5.
Okay, Commissioners, Commissioner Steele is not here tonight. This is his district. I did not respond, but I got a email from District 5 comfortable with the fit. So Commissioners, I read through it, and it seems pretty decent too. And do you have any thoughts on it, or?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Feltner. Second by Commissioner Tobias. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes 4-0. Moving into item G3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. G3 is Hope Episcopal Church, Inc., Mike Burkhead, Gulfstream Towers, requests a CUP for wireless telecommunication facilities and broadcast tower in a PUD zoning classification. Application number is 23Z00055, tax account number 2604194, located in District 4.
Thank you. I'm going to call up the applicant, Miss Mary
Solik.
Thank you. Ma'am, you have 15 minutes. If you take a pause, I'll save your time to the end if you want to. There's a few cards if you want to respond to them as well.
Okay, I'll be very brief and reserve my time to
Okay.
respond to the community. Mary Solik, 121 South Orange Avenue, Suite 1500, Orlando, Florida. I am legal counsel for Gulfstream Towers. This is a proposed 120-foot unipole or camouflage tower on the Christ Episcopal Church property off of Interlochen Road, just south of the intersection of Wicked Road. The church property is 8.27 acres in size. It has a neighborhood commercial future land use designation and PUD zoning, which does allow for a variety of commercial uses. The property is improved with the church, and we have a FPL substation to the north up here. We have a commercial shopping center on the other side of Interlochen Road. We have a business park on the west, and to the south of the church property is a 4.72 acre retention pond. We have tucked this tower all the way up in the corner of the church property. It's going all the way up here. The substation is just right up here. So we have put it as far to the north as we can. We are required under your code to have a 240-foot or 2 times the tower height setback from any residential structures. We are over 600 feet from the closest residential building. We meet all of the criteria in your code. Your staff report is very thorough. It goes through all of the future land use requirements we need to meet, the general conditional use criteria, and the specific conditional use criteria in your wireless ordinance. Your wireless consultant has reviewed our application and has determined that we have met our proof of need, both for the location and a new structure, and we meet the code requirements for you cap towers at 120 feet in urban areas, and that the wireless carrier that is anchoring this tower, T-Mobile, has submitted proof of their need of the facility. I will stand for questions, and then I'd like to reserve my time for the remainder to respond to the citizen comments.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to write that down, 1246, because I disappeared it. Commissioners, do you have any questions before I call cards?
I'd like to do the cards first.
Okay, we're going to call cards,
Okay,
and if
I'll
you
sit
want
down. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you set the timer again? I'm going to put one more little document in here. I mentioned this is a monopole or a camouflage tower. We call it a unipole. It will be a white pole. This is the profile picture of it. All of the antenna and cabling are internal to the pole. That's all you'll ever see. No antennas on outside, no broad arrays, no platforms. That's it. Everything is inside, and it will be white. It does have lights on it. That's a requirement of the Brevard County Code.
Thank you. All right, Miss Melissa Roberts.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a marine biologist, and I live just 500 feet from where this proposed tower would be put up. And I have just a few points. I know I only have a couple of minutes to speak with you guys. I have just a couple of points that I want to point out. 4G and 5G towers increase the possibility of colony collapse disorder by over 200% to honeybees and other pollinators that are within 4 miles of the tower. So that would destroy honeybees that are trying to pollinate our fruits and our vegetables that we grow in our backyards, also our trees and our wildflowers. 5G will also increase the amount of electromagnetic radiation in the atmosphere, leading to an increased risk for disease and a high risk of cancer in humans. These towers are very dangerous in our communities, and I honestly do not want it in my community. The frequency of 5G is high enough to disrupt the human body's circadian rhythms, which will regulate sleep and reproduction. We already have a 5G tower less than a mile from where this one is proposed. It's just off of the interstate of 95 and Wickham. I don't understand why we need another one. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. A study by the Paris Science E-Letters, PSL Research University in Paris, has found that sparrows exposed to cell tower radiation for 5 to 30 minutes produced disfigured eggs, and they were unable to mate. Another study in Spain showed that electromagnetic radiation from cell towers interfered with birds' breeding and nesting habits. This includes birds that are protected by federal law, like the sandhill cranes. According to Joel Moskowitz, a leading researcher in the School of Public Health and director of the Center for Family and Community Health at UC Berkeley, research has shown significant adverse biological and health effects, including brain cancer in humans, associated with the use of 5G towers within 5 miles of people's homes. The animals this tower will affect are protected by federal law, as I have mentioned, honeybees and many different kinds of birds like the cardinal, sandhill crane, and many others. These animals are highly sensitive to exogenous EMF in ways that surpass human reactivity. So that's all I have for you today, and I really hope that you take these things seriously. As a marine biologist, these are really close to my heart, and I see babies walking every day, and the park that is right behind my house, kids are playing, and the schools pick up people every day, little children that are still developing their brains. And the radiation that they're going to be exposed to is detrimental to their development. So thank you for your time today, and I hope that you take that into consideration.
Thank you. Commissioner Tobias, you put your light on, sir. Do you have something specific?
Real quickly, I didn't know the harm of all of these towers. Do you use cell phones yourself?
I do.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I wish I
Okay.
couldn't, but I do. I have to. For my work, I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Henry Eckstein?
Hi, thank you for letting me speak.
If you'd say your name for me in the city.
My name is Henry Eckstein. I live at 530 Shell Cove Drive in Viera. It's about 2,500 feet from the tower. I have a master's degree in electrical engineering, and I've worked in the aerospace industry for many years as a telecommunications engineer before becoming a CIO for a large corporation for 20 years. I'm also a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist. I currently work with businesses and residential customers who are concerned about the impact of high levels of EMR on their health. I've been finding an ever-increasing number of people who are experiencing severe symptoms from their exposure to nearby cell towers, Wi-Fi, cell phones, and other sources of electromagnetic radiation. There have been many hundreds of peer-reviewed studies over the last few decades proving the dangers of high levels of non-ionizing RF radiation, despite the fact that the FCC claims that high levels of non-ionizing radiation are perfectly safe. The FCC even lost a lawsuit in federal court about this, yet they failed to comply with the orders of the federal judge. Exposure to levels even many, many times less than the pulsed radio frequencies produced by cell towers, etc., have been proven to cause sleeplessness, memory loss, Alzheimer's, chronic fatigue, diabetes, heart palpitations, heart attacks, stroke, anxiety, high blood pressure, weight gain, double and single strand DNA breaks, learning difficulties, miscarriages, low sperm count, infertility, breast cancer, blood-brain barrier leakage, abnormal EEG waveforms, depressed melatonin, leukemia, burning eyes, cancer, and brain tumors. And pretty much repeating what the last speaker said. Anyway, if you want more information, I can be reached via my website at healthyindoorconsultants.com, where there are also links to many of these or some of these research studies. And I'd be happy to discuss this further with you. I also have some business cards if you like, and if anybody wants them. And I urge all of you to rethink this tower, as it will lead to ill health of the population. I feel very worried about the employees of the Publix right next to it and whoever works at that church, not to mention all the neighbors, including myself and my wife. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Tobias, I usually wait to the end, but do you have something for the gentleman?
Yeah, sorry, this gentleman. Quick question. Are you speaking on your, clearly you have a business that tries to limit this type of, these cell towers?
I don't try to
You do
limit.
consulting, you
I try
said,
to
right?
help people deal with the situation. Like,
So you do consulting, right?
I do consulting. I measure,
Okay.
see, because people worry about things.
That's fine. My question is, are you acting as a capacity as a consultant right now, or are you acting as a resident right now?
As a resident.
Okay, thank
yeah.
you. That's all.
Yeah,
you.
concerned, yeah.
Robin Steiner? Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. We moved to Suntree about 25 years ago, and we live in Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake is the first subdivision, which houses are directly behind where this tower is going to be going, approximately about 500 feet, as the lady was saying earlier. Our neighborhood's great. When we first moved here, we were one of the first families, or one of the only families that had teenagers. And now we have a community that was, at that time, mostly retired. Much has changed. Now now we are the retirees, and our neighborhood is filled with children. It's a great neighborhood. According to Business Wire survey for the National Institute on Science and Law Public Policy, in a recent question to potential home buyers, over 94% that were questioned said that they would not even consider a home near a cell tower. The New York Times reported that realtors find it harder to move properties listed near cell towers, especially to those families with children. Children are highly affected by these kind of these radiation waves. In the same New York Times article, Palo Alto, California also saw a 20% drop in home values in their community when AT&T erected a tower, and Savannah, Georgia has reported a 7.4% drop in home values near cell installations. CBS Sacramento, June 28, 2019, broadcast a preschool that had once been a thriving business was abandoned when the parents and the children decided to go elsewhere due to the fact that a cell tower was unexpectedly built with no notice to the community behind the preschool. Businesses are also affected by these things going up with no notice or given any information to the community. In Liberty Township, Ohio, just recently, with no notice, Verizon started digging up front lawns to install poles for repeaters and transmitters, another item that goes along with the expansion of 5G. Like Suntree, this beautiful community outside of Cincinnati had spent years improving the community. They had succeeded in moving all of their utility lines underground. This was a safety move to improve connectivity, and the biggest overall improvement was to the aesthetics of their community, which increased the value of their biggest asset and investment, their homes. Sound familiar? Sounds like Suntree. No more unsightly poles and wires, but we'll now have a cell phone tower booming over us. But now we'll have this 5G tower at the tip of our community. Nice welcome sign, don't you think? Let me ask all of you sitting here, would you have that tower put in your backyard? I don't think so. To the health dangers, as many have mentioned, the rapid expansion reports say they don't have conclusive data and they think it will be okay. They have no idea about the 5G expansion. They're going off of previous reporting of 2G, 3G, and 4G.
Thank you, ma'am.
I really hope you consider this, please, as a no
Thank you,
vote.
ma'am.
All right, this is a great community that's going to be
Robin
destroyed.
Steiner of Melbourne. Thank you, ma'am. Christina LaPlaque? You gonna pass? Okay, ma'am. Mr. John LaPlaque? Commissioner Tobias, is that a new light? No. Okay. If you'd state your name and your
Yes,
city.
my name is John LaPack. I live at 7912 Eddystone Way in Baytree. And I received a card in the mail that I had property that was within 500 feet of the property line. So I have a real interest in this, of course. I want to talk about, of course, the fact that to attain this conditional use is a 4-page document, and it seems to be very difficult to attain one because the burden is placed squarely on the applicant to prove that every one of the criteria to pass this must be passed, and if any of them do not, then it cannot be passed. So let's start with neighborhood, because throughout this whole process, it's talking about what it will do to a neighborhood. We have a neighborhood that from the southeast, the southwest, is all surrounded by two of the most beautiful development communities, both Baytree and Suntree, and they contain well over 1,000 homes. And there's nothing more than a 1 or 2 story on all this property. And it's been there for 20, 30 years. And by the way, the church, has been there for like 26 years on their property as a church and in the same zoning type. So here we are faced with in one of the most beautiful areas, and we have now going to be faced with this tower. If we were applying for a permit to put a taller tower, probably the limit according to the code, to be somewhere around 50, 60 feet. So we're actually, if it was we're now 90 feet higher in the air, highly visible from all of these beautiful neighborhoods. And I want to say also that to say that there is no impact by putting this tower next to all of this residential area, it just doesn't make any sense. And I want to also say that lighting, let's talk about the lighting. In the original application that I have a copy of where they were filtering it out, they never even mentioned the lighting, and I guess that came later when they realized that, yes, there's a Brevard requirement by Brevard, actually, to put lighting on this tower. And what they failed to mention is that at the very top, 120 feet in the air, is a strobe light. That is not just a light. It's 2 strobe lights that flash and can be seen for miles. And so at nighttime, when I look out my backyard right now, I see nothing but black sky and stars and all this. And now it's very likely that I will be looking at a flashing red light. So I'm sorry if I have any more time. I guess I could go on.
Thank you, sir.
But that's just the beginning of the things that I have.
You do not want it, I got you.
No.
Mr. Luke Ramirez. And after that, I have Mr. Art Levy. Sir, if you would state your name and your city for me.
Yes, Luke Cremarius, Melbourne, Florida. So I just wanted to take a minute to speak. As a Suntree resident, I also live about half a mile from where this proposed cell tower is going to go. And I'd like to mention that I can empathize with others that might not necessarily have the same opinion as me, but I personally am excited and in favor of this cell tower. I actually didn't realize that it was a T-Mobile tower until the lady just spoke at the beginning of this section. But I personally have T-Mobile cell service and can't hold a call in my house unless I'm right next to my window or standing outside. And I often work from home day or two a week, and this can impact my ability to do my job. I also have noticed, I've lived here for 7 years, and I have Spectrum as my home internet provider, and we all know how Spectrum does their thing. You sign up with a particular rate, and then they hike it over a period of years, and you can switch providers to get that come back as a new resident type rate, but in my specific area, there's really no other usable option. So my hope is that with this tower going in, there will be options for either Verizon or T-Mobile home internet coming to play in this area. And I actually brought a paper of the cell coverage right in that same interlocking area. Let me flip it around. So where I've circled is the Wickham interlocking boundary. And you can see all going down Interlochen to St. Andrews is in that red, gray, not the best signal coverage area. So my hope is that that would improve that and give me more options for home internet providers. And I know a few of my neighbors are also in the same boat as me where they have young kids. They work from home sometimes. I would imagine that they would be able to take advantage of the same opportunities provided by the improved coverage in this area. So I just wanted to state my opinion as a member of that general area.
Thank you.
That was all. Thank you.
You, just for someone who lives up in God's country, North Brevard, Deerfield, is this close to the area?
Yes, so it's right off of Crystal Lake Drive in that Crystal Lake neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Art Levy. And then I have Dr. Joanna Bass. If you'd state your name and your city for me.
Art Levy, and I live in Vieira, Suntree. And thank you very much. I guess I'm not going to have enough time to read everything I wrote, but I gave this handout to you all, and I hope to get a chance to read through it. I happen to be electrosensitive. I wasn't able to get a cell phone until 2011. Got my first smartphone 7 years later. My tongue burns, and I feel like somebody's punching me in the gut when I come in contact with this stuff. I don't have a computer at home, no Wi-Fi, no digital TV. I'm living back in the 1970s. And I was really shocked when I found out about this antenna coming in. When I was house hunting 2 years ago, I took my meter and I went from house to house, and I had to pass up on at least a dozen homes that I really liked because I was getting an orange or even a red reading on this, that it was too close to a tower. Often you could see the tower right out the backyard. Now, Cityscape is saying that the coverage in this area is not a problem. Everyone has coverage. They're just anticipating in the future. And they said ideally it would be good to put more antennas on existing structures. But T-Mobile states, oh, that's not an option. Adding additional equipment on an existing site to solve its capacity is neither beneficial nor practical. To who? T-Mobile, obviously, and not the citizens of Suntree who would have to be living here and exposing them to a lot more radiation. That's corporate speak for them saying, we would rather build a new tower than pay for the engineering to add capacity at existing towers. Now, they just spent $26 billion buying Sprint, so they can damn well afford to pay for the engineering to get that done. Now, I took my meter out, and if you look on page 5 of this handout that I gave you, you can see I went to the distance that this tower will be. I went up to another tower that's about 120 feet tall, and I measured the distance. And you can see that I got a steady yellow light in there, which is unacceptable. That caused me to turn down a lot of homes as I was looking for them. So now all of a sudden it's going to be there, and it's even worse over at Publix, which is going to be a lot closer. So all those people are going to be irradiated. But there's plenty of towers along I-95 and US 1 where they expect all their growth. They specifically mention major roads. And I don't want the calm in my area, in my specific area, to be ruined so that somebody driving down I-95 can download a movie 15 seconds faster. So I hope you'll read through what I wrote. And thank you very much for giving me a chance to present this to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Dr. Joanna Bass, Commissioner Feltner.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I just want to say that I did talk to Joanna Bass on my way in here. I think she's going to tell you all the same things that she said to me.
Thank you, ma'am. State your name and your city for me.
I am Dr. Joanna Bass. I live in Suntree, Melbourne, Florida. I have an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering and a PhD in engineering and computer science. My comments are, Viera has 2 fully operational towers, and the Viera organization has offered Hope Church a reception platform on either tower. There is no justification for a separate, private communication tower that serves a private, non-taxable entity of which they can charge users for a non-taxable profit. I question what entity has studied the communication frequencies of this communication system to ensure there will be no interference with commercial cell phone communication, and most importantly, with our fire, police, and our medical helicopter systems. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss Alana Kalayapich. Was I close?
It was close.
Okay. If you would just state your name and city, it'd be great.
Hi, my name is Elena Klabich. I'm from Melbourne. I'm a teacher. I received that notice. What I like that the representative from a cell tower, she clearly said that there's no home within 640 feet from the tower, correct? She said that. However, in all our notice, that's a notice I got, and I live in Silver Lake, it says 500 feet. So how is she saying 640 minimum to the house? And I am not even closest to it. So I am within 500 feet. So that means people who live in neighborhood before me, they are closer. They're probably 300 feet. Okay, so this is an official note mailed to us. So there's a discrepancy. I'm also listening to Commissioner Tobia, who asked a question which kind of sneaky. Do we use the phones? Yes, we do. How about the baby? Baby doesn't use the phone. I'm not going to put the telephone next to the baby's head at night and just, put it on. I'm not. I have a right and freedom to turn off my phone during night, and I do because I have 2 children. I have the control over my phone. I have no control over that tower. As the doctor mentioned, there are several other towers which are offering the space to T-Mobile. So what we are now doing is we are taking the companies they want to make money, they want to make profit, and they're saying, well, forget about the value of the homes in the neighborhood. There's about 2,000 homes. We don't care about those. That company going to make money, and the church going to make money. So 2,000 properties and a lot of people who count on that money over huge corporations who will make a good buck. How about there's a school within maybe 1.5 miles. There's a park which is 400 feet from the tower, 400 feet. She said there's no homes, which we already mentioned. According to the letter, that's not true. And if you drive there any day of the week, you will see Little League soccer playing. You will see kids morning and afternoon, babies swinging on the thing. You will see the nannies. You will see the kids there all the time. They have no phones. Commissioner, they have no phones, but they will be now forced to be under this radiation. And maybe we are a little bit exaggerating, maybe not, but are we making that risk? Are we going to risk our children, our grandchildren, exposing them day and night to the radiation, which we do know influences our bodies? We don't know if that will cause us cancer, but we do know it will influence something. So if then 40 years from now they cannot have children, or they have cancers of the brain or whatnot, we're going to say, oops, we just want the T-Mobile to make some money, and the church too. So I would like you to consider, I also have 53 signatures from the neighborhood. I was going to get more, but I got sick. So I have the proof of the signatures with the people's names and addresses saying that they do not want it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I would like to...
You can turn those into the clerk. Thank you. Miss Claudia Sierra? Pardon?
You're not a tongue twister.
Hi, I'm Claudia Schripper, and I am from Suntry. And I just recently found out about this notice, and I came here running because, to me, this is so important. As far as the health hazards that are concerned with this, like I'm just reiterating what everybody is saying, is the risk of health hazards, headaches, memory loss, congenital disabilities, and cardiovascular stress. Many studies also show that cell towers may lead to cancer as they emit non-ionizing high radio frequency wave. Cell towers have wireless antennas that emit radio frequency non-ionizing radiation. When these antennas are close to our homes and schools, our daily exposure to the radiation is increased. And the radiation is considered a new form of environmental pollution. And so I am totally against this. And when the woman says, oh, we can camouflage it, I don't really care about camouflaging it. I care about the health effects that it has for everybody. So like the woman just said, 40 years from now, we're going to find out, oops, and then what are we going to do about that? So this is a really important decision to make, and I don't think it should be made in the sense of the research has to be shown to you guys, and you have to read the research, but just to say yay, nay, I'm totally against it, and the community, a lot of the people in the community are against it. So that's just my statement. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I have one more card. Michelle Smith. And then after Miss Michelle Smith, I'm going to close the public comment for the applicant to come back up. You brought a secret weapon.
Okay, they came with me. Hi, my name is Michelle Smith, and I am also from Melbourne, and I live in the community directly behind where the proposed tower is going to go. I don't know a lot about these towers, obviously, but I don't think many people know the long-term effects, and I know that I do my best as a mom to make good choices for my children and have them raised in environments that are safe. And since we don't know the effects of the tower, I don't really want my kids subject to sleeping under that every night and playing with it every day. They don't have cell phones. My oldest is 11, almost 12. He doesn't have a cell phone, and we can turn those off at night. And I don't think a cell phone would emit the level of a booster tower. So I'm just here as a mom who's concerned for her babies and hope that is taken into consideration. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mary Solick. While I wait for her to come up, County Attorney, could you please let us know what we're allowed to do as far as the law of state of Florida concerning towers? Because I think there are certain things that we're not allowed to consider in this, correct?
Under federal regulations applicable to this, you're not allowed to consider the environmental effects of the emissions from a wireless communications facility. And that's federal law that preempts your ability to consider those emissions-based arguments on environmental and health factors. You can consider certain criteria that's set forth in the code regarding the siting, location of these, aesthetic considerations, and subjects of that nature, and the things that are covered in the consultant's report as well.
Thank you, sir. So I share in some concerns, but I don't know what, with all the technology we're doing and changing, there's trouble with electric poles of what they give off as well. It's just an interesting day we're living in. And but we're not allowed to consider those things right now. When we're deciding this, we have other criteria that we have to comply with. Commissioner Tobias, new light.
Yes, Madam Chair, and it dovetails to the county attorney on the question. Two speakers brought up the fact that they were worried about the property values. I know we're allowed to consider property values, but my understanding is that would require some sort of evidence of a decrease in property values. Have you seen that evidence presented? Could that be used as a rationale to vote no on this?
Generally, to satisfy that criteria, you need some kind of expert testimony, an appraiser, or something like that, showing that there would be a significant negative effect on property valuation.
I know with the commission up here through the past, we have tried to maintain a distinction between commercial and residential. So taking all these things into consideration, it's going to be, love to hear what the commissioner has to say after you speak, ma'am.
Okay, and thank you, County Attorney Richardson, for mentioning the Telecom Act. I was going to bring that up, and thank you, Commissioner Tobias, for mentioning the property values issue. I'm going to add just one more little piece of information that's in your code on the property values issue. Your code very specifically limits that property values impact to abutting properties, and none of these, there aren't any abutting residential properties to this particular site. We're surrounded by commercial properties and the retention pond on the south side.
Excuse me, we cannot talk out there at all, okay? Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
So that's, I mean, I'm just telling you that's the limitation in your code. I'll also address the notice issue. The diagrams and the site plans in your package do demonstrate that we are over 600 feet away from the closest residential structure. Some of the neighbors told you they got a card because they're within 500 feet. The 500 feet is measured from the boundary of the subject property. So it captures more people than are actually within that 600 feet of the tower. Did I make sense? Did I say that right? That's measured from outside the property. I heard mostly health effects, a little bit on property values. I don't think you saw any evidence of what the view shed would be from any of these residential homes to the tower. We're over 600 feet away. The church property is wooded. We're all the way up as far north as we can be. This wooded area all stays. This tower will have very little visibility off-site, and you didn't see any evidence brought before you that would substantiate what the view shed would be. You have a very competent outside consulting firm, Cityscapes. I run into them all over the state of Florida representing different jurisdictions. Sometimes they agree with us, sometimes they don't. They're fair. They've evaluated this particular application against the requirements of your code and have found that we meet all of them. We meet we demonstrated the need. There was a speaker that mentioned the tower at Wickham and 95, and why don't we go there? It's a mile away. Well, T-Mobile's on that tower. That information's in your packet. The T-Mobile RF package is in there. They're on that tower. They need another location because of the capacity issue, and they gave that capacity information to the consultant who reviewed it and did determine that T-Mobile had a capacity issue out there. This tower is a 4-carrier pole, so it won't be only T-Mobile that uses it. It will be available to the other licensed wireless carriers in your marketplace. And they will not be able to build another tower unless they can prove that they can't use this one. They'll have to come here first. Building the cheapest, fastest way for a carrier to get on air to improve their service is to put antenna on an existing structure. We do that when we can. A new build that draws this kind of attention is the last thing. It's really a last resort. It's expensive. The neighbors come out opposed, and we only do it when there is no other option. Cityscapes looked at the existing environment, looked at the existing towers, and found no other options for us. So I think I've addressed everything raised by the community. Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, let me ask you one quick question. I'm going to pass it off. The church property that you're on, are they operating just as a church? They have a daycare or school or anything there as well during the week?
Oh, the Reverend.
No?
The Reverend just left. This is a church member.
Hi, how are you?
You may need to come up to. I don't think so.
So it's just like a Sunday service? Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
And there was a lot of animosity directed towards the church. Let me just explain to you how that works. The church leases that small area of property to Gulfstream Tower. That's my client. Gulfstream is a we call it vertical real estate builder. We build the infrastructure and the wireless carriers, then lease space on the tower from Gulfstream. Your property appraiser will carve out that little portion of property on the church property and then tax it like it's not church property. It will get taxed like it's commercial property. And the church just gets the revenue from the ground lease. Gulfstream gets the revenue from the tower. We do a lot of towers on church properties. There are a lot of church sites that are large and have excess capacity. It's a good, mainstream churches are struggling. It's a good revenue source for them.
Thank you.
And we put towers on schools, too. I'm doing a bunch of elementary schools in Pasco County right now.
Yeah, I would cringe at that one, but anyways. Commissioner Tobias, is that old light or new light? Mr. Richardson. Okay, Mr. Richardson, and then I'm going to go to you, Commissioner Goodson, next, because I think you...
I just wanted to clarify that under your code, the board does have the ability to consider the visual aesthetic impact on the surrounding landscape and surrounding area and adjacent properties, not exclusively adjacent properties.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Goodson, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. You made a comment that the church is on a downcline. Did you not say something?
Well, I just said mainstream churches are looking for revenue sources. This church is, I don't believe this church is in a down.
So you don't know?
I don't know. That was just a broad.
Does the lady know? Because, I don't know. That's all right. Here's my next question. How long is your lease?
I have not seen the lease. My client did the lease himself. It's probably a minimum of 30 years.
That's what I would imagine. So therefore, the church is going to get paid monthly or yearly. What kind of fee are they going to get paid?
I don't know.
You don't know, or you just don't, maybe that's confidential, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen the lease.
Huh, looks like.
I do Gulfstream zoning work. I don't do.
You know what I find amazing? Here's another question. All these people came out and spoke against it, but one. Where's your church membership?
She's for it. She's for it. She's for it. And I had the Reverend here. She had to leave.
So where are the church members if they're for it?
They. You need to come to the microphone.
Well, they had no problem, but they didn't show up.
I'm sorry, ma'am, you have to come to the mic. And if everybody would just let everybody talk, that way,
Okay.
good conversation.
Okay.
Do you want me to say your name and address?
Nancy Williams. I live in Suntree in the Willows, which is right there off of Interlochen. I can see I can probably see the tower when it's put up. Okay. Unless I don't like to base things on, well, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. I like to have 100% proof. And so far, no one's been able to show it. Yes, it might cause these, but so does everything else. Our wildlife, I can't see that being affected. We're mowing down our wildlife because of the buildings, so I don't think this is going to. And That's all I want to say.
Commissioner Goodson, you still have the mic.
Is your congregation growing or dwindling?
Yes.
It is growing.
Yes, we're very
What-
happy about that.
Okay. Was the church given a vote on this? Were they able to vote?
The vestry. And the vestry, we brought it in front of the church, the congregation, and there were no objections. Well, most of them don't live there. They go to church there, though.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, they live in Sundry, but maybe in the other side. You know, Sundry's got 5,000 homes.
Okay, just one more to you. Why would you not have gone down Wickham to the industrial site there on the left, where the furniture store is and the big buildings are? Why would you have not gone there?
Because we get a search area that is like.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm really, it's rude. I need you to just allow the lady to answer the questions. Ma'am, go ahead.
We get a very small search area, and it's dictated by T-Mobile's current footprint. I'm just looking for the right map to show you. So those pink dots are all current T-Mobile locations. The blue dot is the proposed location at the church, and it's a capacity site. And your expert consultant has reviewed all of this information and determined that within a mile of our proposed location, there is no available structure for us to use, and has concurred with our findings, T-Mobile's findings, that it has a capacity issue in this particular area.
One last question, I'll leave her alone. Who is our expert consultant?
Cityscapes?
Oh, that's our expert
Yes.
consultant? Oh,
Yes. You have a wireless consultant that's done a master plan for your
okay.
county.
I'm sorry, I did not know that, but you might want to check on him. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm through, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. I have no more lights. Commissioner Feltner, this is your district. I think you need to chime in, sir.
I don't think this is a good fit. Administrative Policy 4 says that we can consider the aesthetic. And just to be clear, I think when we're talking about 120 feet, it might not sound so bad, but it's 12 stories. It's a 12-story structure in Sundry, and everyone is going to see that from a long distance. So I would make a motion to deny this based on.
Second it.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Tobias, were you getting ready to hit a? Commissioner Tobias, were you getting ready to hit your mic? I saw your hand move. Okay, I'm going to just weigh in here real quick. We typically give more weight to the commissioner of the district because he's the one that lives there. Again, I probably have concerns about the impacts, but we're not allowed to consider that. It has to totally be as far as how it's going to affect on the area and the residential areas. And so I'm going to leave that into the hands of the commissioner of that district, that he feels like it's not a good fit. So I will be supporting the commissioner with that vote due to the physical location could be a hindrance to the appearance of the entrance in the residential area. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. And I know, County Attorney, you want us to have you go do finding of facts.
That's why I understood, and maybe Morris can explain that better, but to come back to the board next meeting with a finding of fact?
Yes, if it's your direction, I'll prepare findings of fact and return.
Do you need that
to
as a separate motion?
Yes,
Okay.
can I have a motion
So
on that,
I'll
please?
make that motion that county attorney comes back with a finding of fact at the next regularly scheduled commission meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Well,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And you've been a very good sport here. Thank you. All right, we are moving into new business, and we have none, I'm sorry. County manager,
Have no report.
county attorney,
No report, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Goodson,
No report, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Feltner,
I have no report.
I have no report tonight. Commissioner Tobias, I'm turning it over to you, Vice Chair, because I don't think we have public comment cards, so you're on,
No
sir.
public comment cards. Okay. Today is Broadcast Traffic Professionals Day. Useless fact.
I'm sorry, guys, we're in a meeting. If you could go ahead and just kind of keep quiet as we're exiting out the door. You might want to stay. This is kind of interesting. Go ahead, sir.
National Day Broadcast Traffic Professionals Day. They may have a little more trouble now without a cell phone tower to be heard on, but useless Florida fact. Florida has the most golf courses of any state in America, and Palm Beach County has more golf courses than any other county in the entire country. This day in Florida history, on this day in 1984, the Jacksons performed at the Miami Orange Bowl as part of their Victory Tour. This tour is the first and only time all 6 Jackson brothers performed on stage together. The tour reportedly grossed approximately $75 million, $211 million today, and set a new record for the highest grossing tour. And most importantly here, county employee recognition. The name of the employees are Misty, Sarah, Charonda, Washington, and Katie Schneidler. Position Development Services Supervisor in Planning and Development Departments. Also Planning and Development's Emergency Support Function Coordinators. Years of service, we have 6, and 7 respectively. So about these wonderful employees, Planning and Development is assigned 2 important emergency support functions for Brevard County Emergency Management when the onset of an emergency event such as a hurricane is declared. ESF 5, the Information and Planning, ESF 19, Damage Assessment. The ESF 5 coordinator, Misty, and her team are called to perform their duties anytime emergency management calls for activation. Misty annually conducts one-on-one training as well as group training to the members of her team, ensuring once activated there is no disruption or confusion as the responsibilities of the team and the EOC. Misty is often the first volunteer for the very first activation shift, which includes 12-hour shifts and often requires overnight stays at the EOC. During these shifts, the team is responsible for attending daily municipal call meetings, gathering other ESF reports and actions, and creating a twice-daily report. The ESF 19 coordinators, Sharonda and Katie, are responsible for establishing the teams needed for the field damage assessment, which typically occurs immediately after a storm or event. They ensure the assessment routes, and they are assigned, and each team has the necessary tools to do the job and do it well. ESF 19 is instrumental in the reopening of damage and all affected and all non-affected public and private structures within the county boundaries, sometimes overlapping slightly in other municipalities, to ensure once every structure has been inspected and reported accordingly. They offer one-on-one training and team training annually to those who may need a refresher. The reports received electronically in real time from the field are compiled and submitted to proper agencies. These reports are used by FEMA to determine federal assistance for Brevard County. 3 quick fun facts about these employees. Misty is a self-professed nerd. Charonda likes cruises and cruising, and Katie enjoys traveling. Again, 3 employees you probably may not run into, but when, yes, come up here, when times are tough, these are the folks that keep Brevard County running, and more importantly, make sure that we receive the FEMA funds that are appropriate. So I have one question for you guys. With the new EOC opening, how excited are you after the troubles that we've had in the past?
So excited. No flooding.
The bathrooms that actually work?
Yes.
Yes.
Room to spread out. How about that?
Super, if you want to come up and tell us a little bit more, that would be awesome.
Thank you for recognizing us in your time. It's appreciated. It's beyond expected, and it's something we do. It's a role in our positions as county employees, and we serve it with honor and respect of our department, our directors, and our managers. Everyone supports us, our commission, our county manager, everyone. So thank you for your support. That's how and why we do it. And our team, our staff, we can't do it without our team, coordinating our teams with the other ESFs and John Scott, the director, everyone, the staff. It's a group effort.
Well, again, thank you. I know when those situations get tough, you guys, I'm sure, have families, and you're called to help Brevard County and have to get support elsewhere. So you probably don't hear thank you for that, but we greatly appreciate you coming to the call. With that being said, I'm going to call this meeting closed at 6:10. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.